Every night, without fail, the sounds of a child's screams and sobs echoed through the house. It was the cry of a broken heart, a cry that could only come from a grieving mother who had lost her child. At first, the neighbors thought that the woman had lost her mind. They would hear her pacing the floorboards, talking to someone who wasn't there, pleading for the cries to stop. But when they went to check on her, they found her alone in the house, tears streaming down her face. As the weeks passed, the crying only got worse. The woman couldn't sleep, couldn't even think straight. She was consumed by grief, and nothing seemed to help. She tried talking to a therapist, taking medication, even going to church, but the crying persisted. One night, desperate for some peace, the woman went to the graveyard where her daughter was buried. It was a quiet place, filled with the whispers of the dead. She knelt beside the grave and begged her daughter to stop crying. "Please, baby," she whispered. "Mommy needs you to stop crying." But there was no response. The crying continued, as loud and heartbreaking as ever. The woman stayed there for hours, long after the sun had set and the graveyard had fallen into darkness. She begged, she pleaded, she even screamed, but nothing worked. It wasn't until the woman returned home that she realized the truth. The crying wasn't coming from her daughter's grave. It was coming from her own bedroom. Terrified, she raced up the stairs, her heart pounding in her chest. And there, in the middle of the room, she saw her daughter's ghost. She was crying and screaming, just as she had been every night. But this time, the woman could see her clearly. She reached out to touch her daughter, to comfort her, but her hand passed right through the ghostly figure. And then, with a suddenness that made the woman's blood run cold, the ghostly child turned to her and spoke.
Mommy, why did you bury me alive?